outside India, we're a little bit further along in embedding connectivity from the wireless carrier into the car. Unfortunately, in the past year, even though many more car companies in Western Europe, in China, and in North America said they were going to put connectivity in all their cars, suddenly they discovered consumers are concerned about privacy, they're concerned about security, they're concerned about their data and ownership of that data. They're concerned about being criticized for being distracted by these applications in the car, and they don't want to be tracked. So it sounds like this isn't an issue yet in this market, but I'm just giving you a heads up that it has become an issue outside of India, and it is impeding progress towards connectivity, which I think, in the grand scheme, will be a very positive thing for society, okay? And that's a little bit of what I want to talk about. It also sets the stage for this kind of question, and I don't know if you can see that, but this is a billboard not too far from here that says that your life can be a cakewalk, go vehicleless. So is this the future, or is this some alternative vision when these people with this housing development are completely out of their minds, okay? I will say it does represent a trend that is also available and visible in the West, which is creating more walkable communities where you don't need a car. And I have two 27-year-old sons. I have a younger son, all of whom have cars, but the two older ones are actively considering getting rid of their cars because they're in that millennial generation we all hear about, that they don't want cars and all of the cost that's associated with that. So I was passing by in the cab yesterday on my way to KPIT, and this really caught my eye. I've never seen such a thing, actually, in the West, quote unquote. But I thought it was very interesting to see it here. Go vehicleless. Who needs a car? I don't think that's the way India is going, okay? The car is a living thing. It is something that I think we've heard quite a bit about, but maybe not put quite that way. When you have a living thing like this, you want to gather the information from day-to-day usage of the vehicle, to track hardware and software applications and services, to better understand failures and fault codes, to respond in real time to customer needs because you want to be there for the customer, you want to keep that customer buying and driving your car, and to anticipate and mitigate failures. This is the world that we are entering into, the world of the Internet of Things, where we're connected in so many ways. So this idea of privacy is almost a fantasy, okay? And we heard a lot about that today, but I think it's important to make sure that it's very clear. And the vectors for connectivity we heard about here were vehicle-to-vehicle connectivity, DSRC technology, smartphone connectivity, embedded cellular, and actually at the recent Detroit Auto Show, Toyota showed satellite connectivity to the car. And I don't mean GPS connectivity, I mean a satellite connection using Intelsat technology, existing satellites, for software updates initially, but you know eventually that will be apps and content. So that's a big pipe coming to the car, much lower cost actually. And we have a whole new landscape of suppliers and startups and new companies that are suddenly relevant in the automotive space and disrupting the entire automotive ecosystem. And I would suggest that everybody in this room is a part of that disruption. And we're facing big data. So yes, Internet of Things, the cloud, and big data. So what is big data about? It's about understanding who are our customers, where are they coming from, how do we acquire them, how do we get more of them, how do we retain them, how do they behave, and why do they behave the way they behave? What do they like, what don't they like? And how can we manage these relationships more effectively? Do we have challenges globally? Yes. 1.2 billion vehicles on the road now, expected to be 2 billion by 2035. Highway fatalities, I don't have to tell you about this problem, it's a global problem. Vehicle emissions, again, a global problem. India is not alone in trying to mitigate this situation. Vehicle connectivity can solve all of these problems. We're trying to save time, we're trying to save money, we're trying to save lives, and we're trying to clean up our air. And vehicle connectivity can address all of these challenges. So is India unique? So we discussed this a little bit today. I would say the answer is yes and no, okay? So a lot of the problems that India has are common to all markets throughout the world. However, there are some things that are going on here that are fairly unique. Number one, India has now, thanks to some of the other BRICS companies sort of turning into Legos, so Brazil, Russia, and China are no longer showing the growth trajectory that they once showed. So now India is the fastest growing automotive market in the world. 9% compound annual growth anticipated through 2022. Highest in annual fatalities, unfortunately, including high pedestrian death rates, as Professor Mohan mentioned on several occasions. Massive 2- and 3-wheel markets here, which represent unique sources of demand, and there are several startups here that are focusing on the 2-wheel customer. It's a very important customer and a huge market here, and actually throughout Southeast Asia. Limited mass transit options in cities. So while there's a massive rail network throughout India, the availability of rail underground and above ground is very limited in the cities, which creates some unique challenges. It's a service economy in transition, and I'm going to ask a question which I'll answer in a moment, and that is, was Frank Sinatra wrong? Just hold that thought. So new value propositions. So what did we see here today? We saw crowdsourced access to public and private transport information, two-wheel-centric opportunities and alternatives. We had a heated discussion on several fronts about the OBD2 opportunity. Is that a B2B, a B2C opportunity, or both? India is clearly in the forefront of exploring that, an answer to that question. Embedded wireless connections, still early for India, but that will come, and it will probably come fairly rapidly now that 4G is expanding throughout the country. And also, I think India has become a focal point for smartphone sales, in particular for Apple. Apple has suddenly discovered India now that China has gone down. So that's going to open up new opportunities and perhaps new challenges. Commercial vehicle solutions are a big focus here. So buses and other kinds of commercial vehicles, even the agricultural industry for applications. Third-party vehicle servicing, we've seen as a startup opportunity, and this is a global proposition. Many cars are on the road, they need to be serviced, and that is where money is made, actually. Car companies make their money after the car is sold, not when the car is sold, taking care of that customer. Yeah, of course. And I just want to say, my perception of the spirit of AutoNebula is to build a collaborative service and application development environment where we're all helping one another find success in this space. And the final point I wanted to say is if we can solve the problems and build markets here, we can solve them anywhere. So Frank Sinatra was wrong. It's not in New York, it's in India where you have to be successful. That's my thought. Thank you very much.